We're going to be joined now by political strategist Rob D. Martin. He's also the founder and CEO of Martin Capital. Happy 4th of July, Martin, and thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here.
We appreciate you coming here on this 4th of July evening. What do you think about this whole celebration and the weather that we're having here this evening?
Well, it's wonderful. I'm just barely old enough to remember the bicentennial. I was about 6 when that happened, hoping to make it to the tricentennial. But this has been magnificent, weather notwithstanding, heat notwithstanding. You know, the state fair was just wonderful. The Mount Rushmore thing was wonderful. The flybys are incredible. And we've got the World Cup going on at the same time, which is just extraordinary. I'm certainly not a soccer fan. You know, I'm an American, so I think that's all kind of a commie plot. But, you know, they ought to play real football over there, don't they know? But, you know, we have the World Cup here, and it's all over America. And it's just wonderful because people are coming from all over the world, and their media lies to them about America. You hear these incredible interviews where they're going on about how, you know, they just believed that everything in America was falling down and dirty and everybody was hateful and everybody wanted to kill everybody and all this insane stuff that only a bunch of liberal media people in New York and in Europe could possibly believe. And then they come here and they see the real America and they're all going nuts over it. They're all taking bottles of ranch dressing home and going on about how they want to move here. And it's just flawless. It doesn't matter what the weather throws at us. It is a glorious 250th birthday for the greatest nation on earth, and the whole world is seeing it.
Now, you've said you're an American. Dave and I here, we're both Americans, born and raised. What are you reflecting on this July 4th?
You know, the biggest distinction between the American Revolution and all the others is really this idea that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. And of course, we know the unalienable rights, everybody can quote the rest, but endowed by their creator is really the crucial difference between our revolution and the French Revolution or the Russian Revolution or the Chinese Revolution, because what it says is that rights are prior to government. Government did not give you your rights. Government, therefore, may not take away your rights. And crucially, and the founders to a man understood this, crucially, government exists not to rule you, but to secure your rights. And that's exactly why America has been so successful. You know, we were just 3 million people huddled against the Atlantic coast 250 years ago. That is literally the normal lifetime of just 3 generations of people. And 3 million people have become nearly 350 million people. We're 4% of the world's population, but we're 26% of the world's economy, most powerful military in the world, all these different things. But the reason is that we're free, and we're free on a fundamental level that goes beyond government just dibbing and dabbing out what it wants us to have. And maybe we get some benevolent rulers. No. Government here serves the rights of the people, which means that somebody like Elon Musk can come here and become the world's first trillionaire, and we can solve huge problems all over the world. It has been a blessing to the whole world. When America became independent, 86% of the population of the world lived in extreme poverty. That number is now 9%. And it's going to shrink dramatically from there in the 21st century because of the ingenuity and goodwill of Americans.
You know, you talk about how great America is, but we've had some naysayers, some people who are not happy being American or living in America or don't like American values. What do you say to those people on a day like today with this big celebration going on for weeks now and going to continue after today? What do you say to those people?
Well, I would start by referencing them to Martin Luther King. who had every reason to hate America. He grew up in segregation. He was mistreated. He was thrown in jail wrongly. You know, all kinds of terrible things happened to him. And yet he consistently proclaimed the vision of our founding fathers, that the Declaration of Independence was the greatest human document in the history of the world, that it established this enormous promise to all mankind, and that what he was working for was not to overthrow the American system, but to make it live up to its promise, which, in point of fact, it has. You know, the civil rights movement succeeded, segregation ended, and we welcome people from all over the world. We do ask that they actually come legally. We ask that they come through the door, not break in the window, but we are an incredibly welcoming country. As all those European soccer fans discovered, you know, we let in 1.1 million legal immigrants every single year, and have since before I was born, which is just incredible. And there's no other country in the world that does anything like that. And they come here for a reason. We absolutely can't let enough people in for there not to be more who want to come, precisely because they understand in their bones there is opportunity here that doesn't exist anywhere. So I would encourage some of our socialist friends in this country, Mr. Mamdani, all of his followers, AOC, they should go spend some time in Cuba or North Korea or Venezuela or any other country they wish to choose, and just live there for a while under the sweet, tender mercies of these socialist regimes and see how well that works out for them.
You know, you talk about all the people that we let in and all the people that have come here who want to stay here. A lot of people that have come for the World Cup, you know, are bragging about America on social media. And our Declaration of Independence and what our forefathers did was based on Christian values. And I think, you know, President Trump, we were talking earlier about how resilient he is and how nothing gets him down. And we're expecting him to come and speak this evening. What do you think the president is going to say this evening if he is allowed to come out and speak?
I don't think anybody can prevent him from speaking. This man is so resilient, it's unbelievable. Y'all were just talking about that. But if you'll recall, before, I think the 2024 election, but it might have been the 2016 election also, he was doing rallies that began at 2 a.m. on election day. The man is just a machine. I don't know when he sleeps. And so he'll be out there. And when he does, he will testify yet again to the greatness of America and the opportunity for anyone who chooses to be part of it lawfully. And lawful is the key. We can't have the kind of just flood of migrants that the Biden team let in. And he stood strong against that because it cheapens citizenship. The people who come through the door and not break in the window go through a lengthy process. They are vetted. They are, if they choose to become citizens, they study American history. They take an oath of allegiance. Why should we cheapen what they do for people who don't do any of that and don't love our country? So he'll probably talk about that. He will talk about the not just the greatness of America, but what the greatness of America means for the world, because this is a unique country. This is a country that flattened Germany and Japan during World War II and immediately went in, didn't treat them as conquered provinces, went in and rebuilt them, gave them hope, handed their children chocolate bars, gave them democracy, and then defended them from the Soviet Empire for all of the Cold War. This is a unique country. There's nothing else like it. I'm so grateful to get to be a part of it. Winston Churchill said that if you were born an Englishman, you had won the lottery of life. I beg to differ. I think if you were born an American, you were. And if you get to come here and be a citizen, equally so, if not more so. Donald Trump pronounces that better than most American leaders have in memory. There are a few others like Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz who do a great job of it. but really not since Reagan have we had a president who could articulate the idea of America as strongly as this president.
You know, Dave and I were talking earlier about how, you know, when we were in school, we didn't learn so much about why we should be so proud of our country. We didn't learn about, you know, why this country is so much greater than, say, a communist country. There are differences, but we didn't understand that. And now, you know, schools don't require the students to do the salute the flag in the morning like we did. You know, what is happening with our schools, and when did that change? Do you know?
Well, it's just a grave mistake, and it's been very deliberate because the left got control of education in this country, and they don't love America. And we don't have to look far when we have the Gallup poll that just recently came out that shows that about 92% of Republicans are proud of being an American, and about 36% of Democrats are. I mean, that's just mind-boggling. And when I was a kid, it was more or less equal. Everyone pretty much agreed that, hey, this is a great place. We want to make it better, of course, and we want to make it better now. But they weren't absolutely opposed to the idea of America in the way that Senator Tim Kaine was recently, when he just scoffed at the idea that rights would come from God rather than government. And his focus, of course, was not primarily on the idea that rights transcend government. It was that government should be able to take away anything it chooses. And that's a socialist mindset that does set us apart. We are not greater because people in Russia or China or Venezuela are somehow inferior. We love them. We're all for them. We want them to share in what we have. America is greater because it's freer and it gives expression to the different callings of all of its people. Anybody can become anything in America, and that's unique in all the world.
Well said. And we thank you so much for coming out on this 4th of July. I'm sure you're celebrating it today as everyone else is. We appreciate it and continue to enjoy your 4th.
Yes, ma'am. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.